and trying to achieve there. If you only focus on policies and compliance, usually the value is just not there, and it's very, very difficult for the other stakeholders, for your departments to grasp what you're actually doing and not to push back on the whole initiative. So one tip that I can give you that I always choose to follow is when I write something down like a policy, I treat this as agreements. I only write it down when I already agreed on the specifics that's in the policy. And I'm talking to the people first. And when we get to an agreement on how we want to do things, how we want to implement security, then we write it down. And this is it's a complete mindset shift from just buying an ISMS and then you're done with it and you load it over the organization. Usually you will get a lot of pushback if you want to do it like this. So that's the first starting point. We are now getting to the modern world on how we can work together and how we can set up an ISMS, how we can improve, and how we can make value the priority, how we can really shift the focus. Because anyone can buy an ISMS, but almost no one knows how to sell one. So I want to show you some tips and tricks how you can really get your stakeholders involved and actually want to implement more security for you, so the whole burden is not on the security team. The one thing I have to say is you should stay away from fear and compliance if you can do it, because fear and compliance is a weak motivator, especially if nothing happened in the past. There was no cyber attack, no big thing, or there's not like a big law that you have to follow. Then usually you will not address the people who actually implement the security controls with this as a motivation. You can mix it in, but let's just try to stay on focus and try to see which value we can produce. So this is an actual hierarchy that I saw in the past that was not working out, and I can really see why this was not working out. When you have like a CEO that has a CIO, that has a CISO, and then the CISO hires someone like an external guy and like a consultant or just an internal expert who works on the certification, you will get that, but not much more than this. Because you can really think about it, like the CEO wants to reduce risk. He has one really clear goal, but if you delegate the goal to the IT, usually the CIO will focus on IT, and then we really spiral backwards into the old days where the CISO actually becomes the IT security officer, and then the person who works on the ISMS is really constrained by the IT because there's so much focus on IT and checklists and so on, that there's not much room and also not much visibility for that person to show into the organization. So this is something that is not really usually not worthwhile. It's just so much overhead and so much pushback that the heart of risk management is lost in translation. And we really should put the person responsible for the cybersecurity near the CEO or near the board or near the business operations. This would be one major thing that elevated a lot of ISMS in the past for many companies. It's a little bit like, this is like a meme. I think everybody saw it. Balance 6 nails without letting them touch the wood. It's really just one task for 2 different persons, and you get 2 really different results there. Like the architect is really trying to get something like a design, and the developer just wants to get over with it. It's the same in business. We really have to know when you're a specialist and you're down in the hierarchy and you're tasked with implementing an ISMS, really, how can you get the value into the business out of the IT, for example, or if you're in charge, you have to think about which roles and responsibilities do I give to which person, because the outcome, the result will vary by a lot, even though we are all talking about the same, we're all talking about the ISMS and the certification and so on. The operations in the background can vary vastly. So this is a mindset shift, again, shift the focus from securing the company to protecting what matters to key stakeholders. For example, I was tasked with implementing ISO 27001 in one department of a larger organization. They had 250 software developers, and they wanted to get the certification for that scope, this 250 software developers. And I came there, I talked to them, I held a speech, and what we wanted to do, the project outline, and also the results. And I sat there saying, okay, we want to optimize the operations, the IT operations. We want to reduce cost. We want to increase the security and the stability and the trust in our own systems, right? Speaking from the perspective of the company. And then after that, one developer came to me and said, yeah, Alex, you know, everything looks nice. We want to optimize, but how does it help me? At the start of new project, at the start of new developments, I will fix all the bugs or the security issues up front. The operations team might have a little bit of an easier time managing it, but I will have all the overhead. How do we deal with this? How do we not overburden the developers to get the overall cost down? Right, so you really have to talk eye to eye to your key stakeholders, to where you want to sell your security and the security controls to, so they don't feel that like you hinder them at their goals. Right, we also always want to support our stakeholders. We want to give them trust and security and optimization. So just coming with a broad statement on we want to get the certification, we want the ISMS, we want to save the world, right? Usually that does not connect with the individual people that you're talking to. Yeah, it's like also this meme, I saw it like 15 years ago when I was a student. Just see what the customer actually wants. We have to talk about usability first, though, because in business talk there's like two different types of quality, so to speak. You have the fit for use, and you have the fit for purpose. So if you have a nail and you have a hammer, then the hammer is fit for purpose. Right? It doesn't mean that it is also fit for use. Like it also has to have a certain quality to it. Like if you are using a hammer to hammer down a nail, but you need to have a hammer to hammer down the nail, right? So it all comes to doing the right things right. No matter how right you do things, if you're doing the wrong things, then it's just the business will not get the value out of what you're doing, and you will just fail with your ISMS. Because one of the first principles you have when you want to implement ISO 27001 is that you have to have management backup. The management needs to support you. But if the management does not see the value, they will not support you. And if you're just doing the wrong things, then it is very, very difficult to continue doing what you're actually doing. So think about the ISO certification more like a quality aspect. So if you get the certification, you can prove that your quality is really, really good. But if you want to start with an ISMS, maybe you have a company who wants to get started with a cybersecurity on a professional level, then I would not start with selling the certification or the ISO 27001, because you cannot demonstrate that the ISMS will actually be usable in this scenario. You're just talking about the quality. So you gotta get the usability or the purpose first and sell that, and then increment the security and get better in the quality over time. And this is where the PDCA cycle comes in. This is where you can really start small and build on top of this every year and get better at it, and you will get more friends with this one. Yes, so you have to know your customer, right? Know your customer, solve their problems, and then provide the evidence. One of the easiest examples I can give here is the access management, because it's such a huge topic and everybody talks about that with the multi-factor authentication and different tools and so on. So the whole area of access management is widely understood, but it's also very, very big. So what you can do if you want to start with this is just look at the top 5 or 10 cloud applications. This is what I did. So look at them and see if there's any accounts, user accounts that are not used within like the last 2-3 months, like just idle accounts that nobody uses because it's maybe used from employees that are not in the companies anymore, or it's from externals, from consultants, and so on. And usually what you will find is a few thousands of these accounts are really easy to find if you don't have a really working access management. And then you can just put the dollar value on this because you're paying for the licenses, you're paying for the just to have those idle accounts. It's also a security risk, of course, but you can really see if you then go with a very small process to erase all of these accounts, you can already signal to the business, we saved this thousands of US dollars in license cost every month just because we have this access management process, and we can build on top of that with like more security, more quality, and do that later. But if you do this value-driven actions, this approach to really solve problems first and then sell yourself, then it's very, very easy to justify and sustain and get the buy-in also for the IT in this example, because you have direct impact on the cost of the IT, on their budget, and you can help them, and they really want you to help them at that point. For the rest of the session, I really want to dig down into this pyramid, into this idea on how we can understand the business before we integrate security controls into the different departments. As we know, the ISO 27001 and 2 Annex, the Annex A, has different chapters like the administrative controls, controls for human resources or personnel, then the physical controls, and also the technical controls. But usually the security experts like us, we don't implement these controls. Maybe some of them, like the security operations, but like most of these controls are not within our means to implement. So we need to get the buy-in from the other departments to actually implement these controls. And this view it's quite old, but it's, in my opinion, the best visualization on how we can do it to really get the people to follow your policies. So what we see here is the pyramid. We have 3 tiers on how to understand your organization. The tier 1 is the senior leadership. It's really the broad organizational view on what the business is doing. Then we dig down into the business processes, which is more of a process level, of a department level, and then into the IT systems. And of course, there is some like communication up the tiers and also the decisions down the tiers. So let's start with the tier 1, the organizational level. If we are working with senior managers, with the leadership team, can we give value to them? Question. The answer is very easy, yes, but it's not as easy as to implement the ISO controls. We really have to think about how to use them. It's just a tool to the means. So what are the means? We can talk about big initiatives, stakeholder interest, business operating models that we can optimize, legal requirements, of course, or something like merger and acquisition. I was there. I did the divestiture. back, I think it was 5 years around, 5 years back, where large companies sold off a big part of the operations in Europe. It affected more than 7,000 employees. And you can really see, when you think about it, how difficult it is to sell off 7,000 positions with all the hardware, all the software, all the information that is transferred, in this case, to a competitor, which is a huge information risk. So the whole divestiture and the merger from the other side was down to, can we actually be secure and compliant and not sell off all of our like internal information, all of our knowledge to the competitors, right? And really, when it comes down to this, it was a decision on cybersecurity, if we can even make it possible. And we made it possible through diligent practices, through principles, and following these principles that then applied the ISO controls. But without this approach, this understanding, we would not be able to actually make the deal possible. So on tier 2, it's a little bit more practical, a little bit maybe easier to understand on how to implement security on a process level. There are many frameworks that other departments actually use, that you can just implement your securities into their processes for the best benefit. I'm talking about COVID, for example, business continuity management, or architecture like TOGAF. So business continuity management is, in my opinion, one of the easiest example, where you do your business impact analysis, you identify business processes, critical dependencies between the departments or to suppliers, identify those risks, and then come with a solution, which is usually one of these security controls. And then the process owner or the owner of the department really appreciates your contribution on how to make these dependencies less critical, or just work with mitigating the risks. One example I can share in this was really, I was at a large company. It was a multinational company, one of the largest in Germany, worldwide operations, and they wanted to optimize the procurement of software, especially of cloud software. So they had many different stakeholders involved, as you do usually, right? You have like the legal department, the procurement, you have the data protection, the IT, and so on. And it was really not connected in between these stakeholders that need to be involved into one process of procuring one software, so that the whole process just took 3-4 months, maybe even longer than that, which was really a big business disruption. So I came in and said, we have to work on this process, we have to optimize the procurement process, and I just integrated the security controls of the ISO framework into that process seamlessly, and got everybody on board, everyone on the same page. We distributed the roles and responsibilities, automated the process flow, and then we were able to ship new software within 3 weeks. So really a reduction of business disruption from 3 to 4 months to 3 weeks, which was just a huge win for everybody. And if you can demonstrate this kind of value to the business, then you transform the role of the CISO from the least liked person in the company to one that is actually very appreciated. So on tier 3 IT systems level, there's a lot of other frameworks, processes, and operations and operating models that the IT uses. I think IT is one of the easiest things to understand if you know the processes behind it. And you can just do the same thing as on tier 2, just with the IT systems, where you use, for example, ITIL. ITIL is like the library. I think they have more than 30 IT processes that you can use. Usually the modern IT departments already use ITIL, and then you can get the service levels, you can get the descriptions of the processes and just integrate your security controls into these processes so that these processes serve all the IT systems and the IT systems are secured via these optimizations, so to speak. Yeah. It was 2019, I think, or 2018, when I was at a large company in Germany, and they tasked me to implement access management for a cloud transformation. Back in the day, it was one of the largest cloud transformations in Germany, where they wanted to go from an on-site data center into the cloud with their ERP systems. And the task was that we had 6 months time, and in 6 months, there would come the external auditors for the financial yearly audit. And this is really a very, very important project. You basically have to be all green in these audits, clear those audits very, very well to avoid fines, right? For large companies, that is also true. And they said you have to set up the access management for all the new cloud systems within 3 months. I said maybe it will take more time. So we overshoot, but it was already 4.5 months. But we really worked very, very into the detail of every single cloud system and defined all the requirements for these cloud systems, for the security, for the maintenance of these systems. And what was the outcome of this? It was like 250 pages of a manual for these systems. And the administrator came to me, the manager of the project said, "Oh my goodness, Alex, nobody will read this. This is too long. It's too much. This is too much detail." 250 pages, and everybody was very, very nervous because we only had 6 months, 6 weeks to clear the audit, and usually it will take at least 3 months, right? So we were a little bit behind schedule, but I said, don't worry, we will get it. Everything is written down. I handed over the whole handbook to the administrator, to the chief administrator, and he said, okay, I will try. We will try our best. I will give the handbook to my staff. And around 6, 7 working days, he came back and said, it's already implemented. Right? This was really a huge success story because everything was so easy to follow in this handbook that they just followed the handbook naturally and implemented all the security controls within 1 week. And then the big auditors from the Big Four, one of the Big Fours, came back and said this was the highest quality they've ever seen in the history of this company. So if you really do it right, you do it really correctly, security and optimization, and you combine the two things, and you can show the value, you can optimize very, very much and also increase the quality. But you have to attack on both fronts. You really also have to focus on the usability of the things. A little bit of a bonus, if you're thinking, oh, okay, it's really nice, I can delegate the implementation of security controls to other departments. You can also integrate your ISMS into an integrated management system. For example, with the AI, the ISO 42, but it also works with all of the ISO. This is how ISO works. All the 001 standards are implementable into one integrated management system that will optimize a lot of work within the security team, because you can have combined tools for audits, for the rest, for the processes, for the continuous improvements. So if you already have ISO certifications in your company that are not 42,000 or 27,000, you can just start very, very fast with integrating the new system that you want into the existing ones. So putting it all together, I think we are almost at the end of the talk. Let's see, I have one more side note, one more story to share if you want to hear that about culture, corporate culture, and communication. But putting it all together, what you have to do as a top worldwide expert in the field of cybersecurity is you have to have, or you have to be a business partner, you have to be a business process expert and IT expert. Right? This is quite a lot. It's not easy, but I don't show you the easy way. I show you the thing that has the most results. And if you want to be successful in the field, as I'm pretty sure you want to be because you are here, that you have to at least speak the language of the business, and also you have to speak the language of the IT, so you can become a sales expert and drive value where it really matters. So thank you very much. One thing you can do now is you can try it out for yourself. This was like a long talk about the theory on how to do it, but what you can actually do right now is you can identify one stakeholder, could be like a head of department, could be an IT administrator, could be a business manager. You have one conversation with that stakeholder that is important to you because you maybe want them to integrate more security into their area. Then I would suggest that you ask them 3 questions. The first one is, what is your goal in the next years? Just to get an understanding of what is really valuable to that person. Then what is the most important business process to achieve that goal? So you can really work with the process and integration. And then which technology do you need for that? And then if you have this conversation, you can have your assessment, you can really see what's valuable, where you can put in more value to the customer. You can make the customer happy and sell your security there and start small and grow bigger as time progresses. Okay, this was the last slide, I'm pretty sure. Yes, thank you very much. Here are my 7 tips. One more time, compliance follows risk. Don't focus solely on tech. Document after agreements. Make value the priority. Value is created in proximity. Producibility first and integrate other frameworks. Thank you very much. If you want to hear the other story on communication, I can do that if we have time. Other than that, we can come to the question.
Yes, I guess definitely we can move forward with the other story, because we still have time.
We still have time. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you wonder why there was a giraffe in the background in some of these slides, and this is a very nice story about how conflict management works and how you can really talk to your stakeholders, or maybe even in your private life if you have some conflicts. The giraffe is a symbol that was coined by Marshall Rosenberg. He created the term nonviolent communication. It is a method based on conflict management and active listening, on how you can talk and connect to other people, like talking heart to heart. The giraffe, because the giraffe is the land animal with the biggest heart. So you really want, if you want to talk to people and understand people, you have to understand and hear what they need, what the need is of theirs, and then really try to focus down what's the problem and talk really on that need level and on the heart to heart level. In a professional setting, sometimes this is not as easy. It comes across a little bit weird because people are not used to it. But if you want to grow as a person and also as a business partner, I would highly encourage you to dig into that topic of nonviolent communication also, and then elevate your communication skills, because in the end, cybersecurity is becoming less of an IT focus and more on a managerial role and a communication role, and really get also the security awareness into the company. And I showed you some of the tips on how you talk to the people. but this is really also one avenue of security awareness that goes beyond the yearly online webinar, something like that, to really catch the people where they are. Okay, how we do with the time? Other than that, thank you very much. I think we're at the end of this talk. I hope this was helpful. I hope you can take out some of the advice and implement it successfully and just have a nice career from here. So, Gauri, back to you. Do we have questions?
Let's get back to the question and answers. And once again, Alexander, thank you so much for this session. It was very insightful. And also, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has joined. And the chat box is now officially open for the questions. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and ask. We look forward answering them. There is one question from the live. It says, how can organizations shift from a checklist based mindset to a genuine risk driven approach when implementing their ISMS?
That's a very broad question, but I will try to answer it in a more specific way. So the question is why? Why are you in a checklist-based system? You're imprisoned into that checklist-based system. I know how it feels like. I know how it works. You don't really have the capacity or the budget to do anything else. You just can work on your checklist. You have your projects, and you cannot see any way out, right? I think what I showed you was more like if you start out to not fall into the trap on this checklist-based system, if you're already deep into that, I would really ask myself why. What is the problem that we are facing that does not, so that I as a expert cannot sell my value. I want to do more. I want to connect with the business owners. I want to put the security where it matters. I want to put risk first. Is that usually the people don't see risk. It's not communicated clearly enough. So if you redefine your risk, if you go through your risk register and it's all IT risk, like if I was misconfigured and the system doesn't have access management and the other one has something, then this is the risk level is too low. Usually what you will do, and I scroll back in my presentation, is you are having not an information security risk management system, you are on the tier 3 too much. And really try to work on risks that are more closer and resonate better to the people in charge, which is more like the tier 1 risk, tier 2 risks, and communicate those and propose solutions that let you move away from a checklist, because the risk at some point at the higher tier will just be so abstract that you don't have a technical solution for them, as I said earlier. So try to identify those risks that will actually help you sell more of the process-driven, risk-driven approach.
Wonderful. I hope that answered your question. It was the Akshad who asked. And the second question that we have from Najib, what do you mean by value is created in proximity?
I mean by that, if you, it has two sides actually, if you want to create value and you are just starting out as an expert, for example, you're reporting to the CISO or to an ISO, then you have clear goals. So you are really enchained by the goals of your lead, of your supervisor on what you can do, what you can create. And if you try to put value somewhere else, usually it is not, you are not, you don't benefit from that, right? Because it's not aligned with the goal of your supervisor and you will not get the bonus or you will not, they will say, oh, don't do that, you should work for what I want to do. So you can only create value to your immediate, higher up your immediate peers, right? And if you're too down in the hierarchy, the value of the security management system cannot shine into the organization, right? This is one coin. The other coin is you cannot be working from an ivory tower, as we put it, right? You have to talk to the people. When I was working as Kühnenagel, I would go to the site and I would talk to the people working on the packages, on the delivery, really with the blue collar workers to get their perspective also. And when you try to find solutions, then work for them also, then you get the right solution. But if you're only sitting at home or sitting in the office, trying to find the right solution, usually the value is lost on the way down the hierarchy.
Totally. I hope that answered your question, Najib. And Najib is asking you one more question, Alex. Have you tried to unify or harmonize multiple compliance framework into one single comprehensive framework? And what was your favorite framework? What's your favorite framework?
Yes, I have worked on that before. For cybersecurity, it's very easy actually, usually, because everything is based on ISO 27001, more or less. Like we have the new NIS2 regulation in Europe, and this is also based on ISO. So I would start with one framework that fits your needs. Could be different one for a general company. I would say ISO is fine. For if you are in a software supplier or somebody who creates software and sells it, ISO is not the right fit for you. You have to look for something else like CCM or something like that. But I would start out with one framework and then make a gap analysis to other frameworks and see the gap and put that gap also in your framework and make a custom one. And then you can go, if you have done a long list, start with a long list and work your way back and say, okay, this is not good, this doesn't work for us, this doesn't work for us. And then the list shrinks and you can prioritize. This is called tailoring, right? You put everything in one bucket first, and then you tailor from there what you actually need. And I always work with gap analysis to combine at least 2 or 3 frameworks into one first.
Thanks for the example. And yes, there is one more question. Yeah. In an organization, different contracts run on different business processes. Then, how to map the controls at the organization level to maintain ISMS ISO because risk assessment are different.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't get the first sentence.
Yes, in an organization, different contracts run on different business processes. Then, how to map the controls at the organization level to maintain ISMS ISO since the risk assessment are different?
This is a very good question. I think there's no easy answer for that. I would always look into, I would from a conceptual level, I would look at it on 2 sides. What's the requirement on one side, and what's the result or the consequence for that on the other side. If you have different requirements on different areas of business, but they run on the same process, then the higher security requirements trumps the lower one. And if the business area don't want the higher security controls, but still want to benefit from the same process, then you have to duplicate or carve out the process. I would work on that. I would see it that way.
Hey Satyanarayana, I hope it answered your question. If anyone have any more questions, we still have a bit of a time, so you can grab the opportunity and get a chance to win the chance to win to speak to the speaker. Yeah, he's just saying thank you for now. So meanwhile, if not, I will be taking one more last question from the live. And yes, so how can we embed risk ownership and accountability into business teams so that ISMS compliance become a natural outcome and not a separate exercise?
Um, Usually, what I would talk to the owner of the business and propose a solution that the department heads are responsible for their own risks in a sense that their goals are measured also by the effective risk mitigation. That is the easiest thing. That's what I saw many companies do, that like a portion of their goal achievements, like 10%, 15%, is just effective risk management. And this must come from the owner of the business because the owner um, distributes the goals right into the next tier or level down. So you have the management buy-in, you have the priorities there, and everybody understands that this is part of the business, that risks are part of the business.
Absolutely. And I hope it answered your question as well. And yes, I guess with that, it's time to wrap up today's session. And thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of today's session. We have gained a lot of information from Mr. Alexander, and it's been inspiring. And now, before we wrap up, Alexander, do you have any final thoughts about your overall experience with this, or if any closing message that you would like to leave with the audience and us?
I would say thank you very much. I always love to talk about these things. I think we should talk more about these and also understand security from a business perspective as a whole. And yeah, I wish good luck to all of you, to your careers. You are here, so you want to learn, and this is the right step, and one step at a time, right?
Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing, Alexander. So I have shared Alexander's LinkedIn on the chat box. So if anyone would like to connect with him further, ask him any questions, you can get in touch with him. And before we head off, I would like to make few of the announcements. So yes, if any one of you would like to grab a certificate for today's session, you can get it for the 20% discount on gsdccouncil.org. And yes, it's globally recognized, and it's going to be a lifelong experience for all of you. And yes, recently GSDC has launched a utility tool which will help you get amazing professional presence for yourself, open the doors for the global opportunities, help you make the resume using the 100% professional tools. And this is absolutely free for everyone who have joined today's webinar. And all you have to do is use the code AUG100 and you get 100% discount. It's exclusively for the webinar attendees. So go ahead and grab this opportunity. And yes, we have upcoming learning and practice L&D case studies across industries event lined up for the next week, starting from 15 December to 17 December, 11:30 p.m. SGT, 9 p.m. IST, 9:30 a.m. CST. And another one, that is the AI implementation series, all the way from 15 December to the 17th December, and 9:30 p.m. SGT, 7 p.m. IST, 7:30 a.m. CST. So yes, 3 more sessions for the next week. And now it's time to celebrate our referral champions, Astik Saxena, Rakesh Ranjan, and Bandi Heman. Thank you so much for spreading the awareness. If you would like to climb up a leaderboard for these referral champions and get the vouchers worth $400, all you have to do is share these events to your colleagues and professional working people. And yes, as soon as you climb up the leaderboard, you get the vouchers worth $400. So thank you so much to these 3. And if you would like to join us for the upcoming learning capsule or webinars or become a guest in one of the podcasts, you can reach out to me on gauri@gstccouncil.org, and we will get started from there. Lastly, we would like to connect with all of you, so make sure you're following us on LinkedIn. Go visit our website for more details. Join the exclusive WhatsApp group where you get updates for every week session. And if you could share your session takeaway on the reviews, that Ayo would love to connect with you, and we would love to hear from you. So with that, it's coming to an end. An amazing series for this week, and looking forward for the next week series where you will be learning more about the ISO 27001 and 42001. And I'm also sharing all the links in the chat box, so you can always keep in touch. Thank you so much once again, Alexander. Hoping to see you in the next one sometime in future.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.